I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Playing from the Tips, your weekly deep dive into the tournament golf coming in the week ahead, presented by Golf Australia magazine. I'm your host, Jimmy Emanuel, and this week, with the help of some of our so-called experts, we're covering plenty of ground. PGA Tour of Australasia is nearing the end of its season and heads for the New South Wales Open. The LIV Golf League is back in action for the second time this year, while the PGA Tour stays in Florida for the Valspar Championship. The DP World Tour is in South Africa, the Asian Tour in India, and the Ladies European Tour in Singapore. Now let's get to those so-called experts taking the previewing trip around the world and offering their picks for the week. There's no Rod Morri this week, so with free run of Sydney Podcast Studios, alongside me is Golf Australia magazine head honcho and our Rich River Golf Club expert, Brendan James. BJ, welcome. Have you got a highlight from last week's Players' Championship week?
Highlight came late yesterday when there was a bit of action on the internet with a potential spotting of Patrick Reed sitting behind the tee on 17 watching the play, but just turned out to be a very good doppelganger. But everyone went, oh, Patrick Reed's at the golf. And it, absolutely resplendent with the hat tan line, glove tan line. So obviously a golfer and looks like Patrick Reed, which is a bit unfortunate. He did. Yeah.
I've got a friend who's a golf pro on the Gold Coast who looks exactly like him, and it's not his favourite recognition.
Might have been him.
Might have been him. Speaking of highlights, it is exactly that when we're joined by golf's premier movie review man who gets a reprieve after a couple of weeks on the bench. Logue, what are you going to grace us with that Rod has failed to of late?
I don't know. I'm sure the listeners will just treat this as like a merciful week off from Rod. So
the golf podcasting world as a week off from Rod.
Yeah.
That's the rarest thing in golf.
Finally.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Before we delve into the week, a quick look back at last week's successes. Our trio combined for one win, that being Louis Doblar at the New Zealand PGA by yours truly, and 4 other top 10s, with Rod taking Michael Hendry to a T4 at the same event, Robert McIntyre's T7 giving BJ another to the tally, and Victor Hovland at the Players not quite netting me the same US $1.5 million that he collected, but still a top 10. On to the first event of the week, and we're sticking close to home with the Play Today New South Wales Open at Rich River Golf Club on the Murray River. One of the more historic events on the PGA Tour of Australasia that dates back to 1931 when it was the New South Wales Closed Championship, open only to New South Wales residents. Moves from Concord after 2 years, with this event the beginning of a lucrative move to regional venues for the biggest tournaments on the Golf New South Wales calendar. And it's the East Course at Rich River that hosts this week. Second course on the property after the Jeff and Ted Parslow West Course. The East Course has a long tournament hosting history, including as a long-time venue for the PGA trainee champs in New South Wales. Not that that's going to help any of the players this week who weren't trainees when it was happening. Redesign work has been recently completed by Thompson Perrott, with particularly the par 3 16th and par 4 17th that should feature heavily in the action this week with a bit more risk-reward on offer, which was the brief given to the design firm. Got a Linksy sort of feel. Fairways are a bit wider. Some bunkers have been removed while others have been enhanced to actually play a part, and this place is always in good condition, so you can expect plenty of birdies. Second last week of the tour's schedule before they head to Victoria and wrap it all up and give out DP World Tour cards and all the rest. Really good field here this week after a number of them took the week off for the New Zealand PGA. Defending champion is Harrison Crowe, who produced one of the more memorable events on the Aussie Tour when he won last year and earned Adrian Logue a Australian Golf Media Association award for a photo of him too. And he's since added the Asia Pacific Amateur to his resume. He's just back in Australia after going to Augusta National for a little scouting trip ahead of the Masters in a couple of weeks. And he's put in a lot of work with John Serhan last week, I noticed. So he is definitely one to watch. Last week's winner, Louis Doblar, full of confidence after finally breaking through, although surely a little weary after some celebrations and a trip back from Auckland. Expect the win to sort of kick something special, but this week might be a big ask. Another winner in the land of the long white cloud, Brendan Jones has added this to his schedule to try and get one of those DP World Tour cards, having never played in Europe consistently. It's a great nod to the tour and the Order of Merit with these DP World Tour cards. That a guy like that who's played in Japan his whole life, was mowing lawns a couple of years ago, has decided to add tournaments on to try and get one of those cards. And that Order of Merit is led by Dave Micheluzzi, who took last week off for the first time in as long as I can remember, laser focused on a European Tour card. A couple other tour winners to consider. Jake McLeod, Dimmy Papadakis, Brett Coletta and Michael Hendry, while Daniel Gale, I think, is one of the most determined people to win a state open I can remember. And then you've also got John...
Has he published his scripting for this week at all?
No, but I'm sure it'll be interesting.
Okay.
I'd suggest that his scripting may be done in the dark before heading for a morning tea time. And another one to watch, John Lyris, who had a good finish in Thailand last week, played well at the New Zealand Open, coming all the way back, makes heaps of birdies, and this place will be right up his alley. Classy player there. Like someone said to me yesterday, Ewan Porter said to me, John Lyris' second round scoring average must be like 8 or 7 under because he gets out of the gates pretty slow and then just puts up some sort of course record or close. So time for some tips. Logue, who do you like on the mighty Murray River?
Can I ask, actually, Jimmy, are you going to be there in person this week?
Unsure as of yet.
Okay. You know, you can always go in the metaverse.
I can go in the metaverse, exactly right. Yes.
Right, I just wanted to make sure you did that. I'm picking Jake McLeod.
Yep.
You mentioned him there. He's near the top of the money list this year and having a very good year. He's a former winner of this tournament and just too solid a player not to go too many years without consistent wins peppered throughout. So Jake McLeod for me.
One of the great stories when he won that and had a caddy who they'd got via a Golf New South Wales shout out on Facebook asking if anyone wanted to caddy that week at Twin Creeks. And he got this bloke who was, his daughter played college golf or something, but not really much of a golfer himself, who just lobbed up every day and carried his bag. Yeah, John, I think his name was. I think I wrote a story about him. BJ, I think you've seen Rich River Golf Club more than anyone else who doesn't live on the Murray River. What's the course who's the course going to suit?
It is going to suit someone who can, well, it seems like an obvious thing, but control their ball.
Yep. And
the changes they've made there, you mentioned it's kind of linksy, but there's water around, particularly on the back nine. There's plenty of water to contend with. They have taken some bunkers out, but what that's actually done is bring some of that water into play, particularly over that maybe 15, 16, 17. I think it's going to suit someone like King of the River, Matty Miller.
King of the River. Canberra's Matt Miller.
He's won 1,000 times in events along the Murray over the journey.
Not necessarily when the lights are brightest, though. Like he's a pro-am machine.
Pro-am machine. Absolutely. Totally agree. But we'll be able to string 4 rounds together at Rich River and do it quite easily. It might be a case of him being around sort of heading into Sunday and then a low round gets him over the line, final round.
Any meat pie recommendations for that region, BJ? Around Echuca? Is your bakery?
It's funny you should be. So anyone who's making the journey west from, say, Yarrawonga or Cobbenbarooga, I suggest that they take a little detour off what the GPS tells you, head south to Numurkah, and there's a bakery in the main street of Numurkah which is simply outstanding.
Excellent. Any vanilla slice action there as well?
There's vanilla slice.
Yep.
There are genuine cream buns. and there are outstanding pies.
That is the sort of insight you get on Playing from the Tips you don't get in any other golf podcast in the world, I'm going to say. For mine, it's Elvis Smiley this week. Like Louis Doblar last week, win around the corner, it feels like, for Elvis. And this course will reward ball strikers, of which Elvis is among the best on this tour. So on to the next, and the return of the LIV Golf League after a couple of weeks off, yet plenty of tweets from accounts claiming to know things. Logue, take us through what's happening with LIV Golf this week.
Okay. I've got a little audio prop here.
Okay.
Good morning, Tucson. Welcome to LIV Tucson, the second event in the LIV 2023 calendar. I like to think of this as the spiritual successor to the Tucson Open.
Yeah, that's fair.
Discontinued in 2006. The old Tucson Open was one of those tournaments that I used to associate, like you'd get up in the morning in the 80s and get the Tuesday morning Sydney Morning Herald and see that little column with the results with exotic names like Pensacola and Firestone and Tucson. I always thought that was an exotic sounding place.
And the Greater Hartford Open.
The Greater Hartford Open. We now know it's not so exotic. It was before we saw any of that on TV. But there's actually Tucson, I'm going to go down a little Tucson alley side discussion here, but there was a rich history of Australians winning at Tucson, including Jeff Ogilvy.
Jeff Ogilvy, yeah, absolutely.
Bruce Crampton in 1973. Bob Charles won there in 1965, accept that. And partial Australian Gabriel Hirschstead won there in 1999. And a little trivia for you, I played with Gabe a few times when we were kids in tournaments.
There you go.
Hunter Valley and stuff.
Inventor of a swing trainer later in life, Gabe.
Yep. Some sort of weird swing thing.
Yep.
So Tucson, a rich history, enhanced now by the prestige of hosting a LIV tournament. It's being played at the Gallery Golf Club. From their website, it says, this spectacular club spans from the narrow canyons of the Tortolita Mountains to the scenic landscape of the Sonoran Desert. It's a 36-hole facility with North Course and South Course. The tournament's been played at the South.
Yep.
That's a John Fote design, solo design from John Fote. And it's the newer of the two courses. A lot of John Fote's work, he claims, is reminiscent of Donald Ross, and he's claiming this one as being like a Pinehurst No. 2 inspired.
Always good when you review your own stuff and say that you're like one of the greatest architects of all time.
Indeed. I looked at some of the flyovers, and there's like a lot of very green strips of fairway sort of poured into the desert and very wide, very, very lush. And very expansive, actually. It looks like it'll be, I think there'll be some very low scores. This course actually hosted the World Golf Champions Accenture Match Play Championship a couple of times in 2007, 2008. So you don't really get a feel from those what the scores would have been. And the North course is actually meant to be a little bit harder, but we'll see. I think they're going to tear this one apart. The 10th hole's been reduced from a par 5 to a par 4. I had a look at the flyover of that, and it looks pretty good. Okay. That's the feature hole to watch this week at that course. Little backstory on John Fote, actually, while we're there. Played 6 years in the PGA Tour. Did you know that? Have you ever heard of him?
I have heard of him,
okay. Yeah. He was a two-time winner in his rookie year, won Rookie of the Year in 1979, faded away, didn't really do anything. I looked at some photos of him. He sort of looks like a bit Hal Sutton and Johnny Miller cross. Interesting, very 70s, 80s look about him. It's a very strong look. And he's also the designer of Pumpkin Ridge, which
where they played last year.
Event. So he's sort of like the LIV doctor.
Yeah.
So my pick.
Yeah, let's have that because I've got to recover from all of that. But yes.
My pick is Cameron Tringali. He's following. Why Cameron Tringali, you might ask?
Sure.
A proven non-winner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I feel like he's following the path forged last week by LIV event winner Charles Howe III.
Okay.
Who's also, an infrequent winner.
Very infrequent winner, yeah.
Finding success in LIV, I think Cameron Tringali is going to be inspired by that, and he's going to storm to victory.
Very good. BJ, have you got a thought on a winner?
Well, it's difficult. There's no real, obviously, with the LIV events early in the season, there's no real
form to go off.
To speak of.
I mean, Patrick Reed was sitting at the Sawgrass last week. So.
But looking at the course and how it matches up with some players, I think Joaquin Neiman might be the man to beat. And Team Ripper.
Team Ripper.
I'm only tipping them because I wanted to say Team Ripper.
I'm going 4 aces.
4 aces.
Everyone's talking about it. So.
Everyone's here talking about the 4 aces.
And for those that aren't aware, that Team Ripper's the All-Australian team led by Cam Smith.
Where Wade Ormsby lost his spot and then won an international series event last week. So
and got a big pat on the back from Greg this morning, I see on socials. So.
Well done, Wade, one of the good moustaches in Australian golf. Not unlike
the best one, though.
Not the best, no. Yeah. Not unlike John Fote. I like to think my writing's like Bernard Darwin. Is that an acceptable sort of a way to do it? Yeah, good. I was thinking of Mito Pereira, but my confidence was dented by the fact that he's just a silhouette on the website. So silhouettes can't win golf tournaments, as far as I know.
Yeah, all the new
it's
came out this week.
Yeah, it's just Mito when I checked last night. But so instead, I'm going to go for Brooks Koepka with no real form, but swirling rumours that he wants out and to head back to the PGA Tour. Completely unsubstantiated at this stage, but that's the sort of thing that'll just make Brooks angry and go out and win a golf tournament for fun. And for the teams, it's fireballs this week for me because I wanted to say fireballs. So there we go. Now on to the PGA Tour and its Valspar Championship that concludes the Florida Swing. 6 tournament names in 23 years for this event that's now sponsored by a paint company with some of the best tee markers in golf, little paint cans. Right on board with that.
I was going to ask what Valspar does.
Yep, Valspar's big paint company. Looks after a lot of the caddies, actually. So a valuable sponsor in golf. Returns to Innisbrook Resort and its Copperhead course, so another PGA Tour venue with a trio of holes bearing a name. This time we're at the Snake Pit, bearing a overtop statue of a copperhead snake. Tree line, big placement golf course. Ball strikers typically high up on the leaderboard here. Sam Burns won last year when he defended his 2021 title, and he's back trying to make it a hat trick at the Valspar. Scotty Scheffler's best friend. Surely that's got to be worth something.
Strong player.
Yeah, really strong player.
Okay. Just a moment, Jimmy. Is this a designated event?
It's not a designated event.
What? What am I doing? I thought I'm only here for the designated events.
No, that's why
like the Rory schedule.
You did the LIV thing because, you're one of the few that plays across designated events and LIV. It's very exciting for you. It's been a mixed bag for Sam Burns so far this year. Clearly loves Innisbrook, though. Big chance. T35 last week at the Players. Got a number of major champions here, actually, including Justin Thomas and Matt Fitzpatrick, who both won Grand Slam events last year, but pretty average return at the Players. 60th for Thomas. Fitzpatrick missed the weekend. Jordan Spieth fared a little better last week with a share of 19th and will be much better suited here than at Sawgrass. Justin Rose kept his return to form going last week and ended up in a share of 6th and has a game perfect for the course and the Snake Pit. And also Tommy Fleetwood, who had a bit of a Sunday fizzle last week, but ball striker, this could suit. He's there as well. And Zach Blair is continuing to make his way back to the PGA Tour on a major medical. And for a golf architecture nerd who spent his time away from the tour building his absolute dream golf course, this is a real affront, I would say, for Zach Blair. Australia have had one winner over the journey, John Senden in 2014. And Harrison Endicott is the only Aussie in the field at this time with a chance to become the second, although Cam Percy and Aaron Badley aren't far back in the alternate list. I think Cam Percy was second alternate and Aaron was about 4th, so they might be half a chance of getting in after Players Week when some guys might pull the pin. I like Jordan Spieth this week. Showed plenty at the Players on a course that pretty much flat out doesn't suit him. Win feels close as he continues to work his way back to the top, and he feels like he's really priming himself for Augusta National. So big chance there. BJ, do you like someone to slither away with a win? There's a snake joke for you.
I'm following your lead, mate, and tipping Jordan Spieth, and I think it's
is that allowed?
Not a case of if, but by how many.
Okay.
I think he can rip this joint apart.
Okay. Logue, enlighten us.
KH Lee.
Yes.
He's a winner each year that he's played on tour, both at the Byron Nelson, but I think this is exactly the sort of event where he sneaks another one in and continues that streak of winning every year on tour.
One of the great interviews in golf, KH Lee. Wants to be the sexiest man in golf.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
Yeah. President's Cup player last year.
Yeah.
Yep. I like KH Lee.
Is he winning there? Really?
Sexiest man in golf?
Yeah.
Well, probably not. There's a lot of
I would have thought there was a queue in front of him.
You've got to admire the attitude, though.
Yeah, that's attitude is sexy. Yeah, good on you, KH. On to the next. BJ, tell us all about the SDC Championship on the DP World Tour. That's a lot of letters.
Inaugural event. Heading to, obviously, co-sanction between DP World and Sunshine Tours. Heading to the Eastern Cape region on South Africa's south coast. Jack Nicklaus designed the course, St. Francis Links, which is a little misleading as the region only has one true links course, which is Humewood, which is about an hour's drive down the road. So it's one of those courses that most people mistakenly refer to as a links because it's not covered in tall trees and there's a lot of bunkers and mounding. It does cop a bit of wind that blows in from the ocean, which is about 1.5 kilometres away. It does have some links-like qualities, and that is presented firm and fast. Fairways have plenty of movement, and there's quite a bit of width about them. Has previously hosted the South African PGA, and is generally ranked in the top 5 courses in the country. Unfortunately, there are no Aussies in the field this week, although there are a handful of reserves. With Blake Windred being the closest to getting a game at the 19th alternate.
I think you'll probably stick to Rich River in the New South Wales Open.
I think you're right. Players to watch. Ockie Stridham, South African. Is teeing it up as a 2-time winner on the DP World Tour this season already. Leads the Sunshine Tour's Order of Merit. Is currently 5th on the Race to Dubai rankings. His most recent win was a little over a month ago in Singapore. But on home soil and in form, you'd have to think he'll be thereabouts when the whips are cracking this week. Another informed South African, Oliver Becker, who won the co-sanctioned challenge to a Sunshine Tour event about a month ago on another inland links course at Fancourt. 7-time.
One of Gary Player's
best ones.
Shining vanguard of
that's the one he holds up there as the piste resistance. He's a 7-time winner on home soil, so you'd have to think that he would be thereabouts come Sunday. I'm tipping Ockie Stridham. I think he will be, if he's not on the podium, he's sitting the weekend out. He's that kind of player. I think he plays aggressively, can make a lot of birdies. This course will suit him to a certain degree. And, yeah, a bit like Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Not if, but by how many.
All right. Logue, you got a thought in South Africa for us?
I've had a look at that golf course, and I think it's pretty straightforward. It's one of those things that's all there in front of you. And I like this bloke, Daniel Van Tonder. I think if he was a cricketer, he'd be a flat track bully. And this is the sort of course where a flat track bully is just going to dismantle it, just take it to bits.
There are quite a few right to left holes on that golf course too, which would suit him down to the ground, given he moves at about 60 or 70 yards in the air. Yeah.
Big rope hook.
Yeah.
I love it.
And very distinct looking golf swing. Just, yeah.
If he was a cricketer, he'd also bowl a heavy ball. Daniel Van Tonder. Yeah, very good. Speaking of Gary Player, I actually heard he was in Sydney a week or so ago.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure doing what.
Looking at a certain golf course on the North Shore?
No, maybe.
Oh, okay.
In the Northwest, I think.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Let's keep the Spanish theme going in South Africa for me after a win from one of the Spanish stars last week. Let's go with Larry Canning's favourite player, Adrian. Either rocks or diamonds this year, but against a field where he sort of comfortably stands out, I think he'll get another win here. So let's move along and stick with your previewing skills, BJ, and tell us what's happening on the Asian Tour this week.
Asian Tour heads to India for the DGC Open, which is essentially short for the Delhi Golf Club Open. Mm-hmm. Thailand's Nittorn Tipong broke through for his first Asian Tour win at this event last year, defeating the local hero Ajtash Sandhu when he birdied the first extra hole in sudden death playoff. He's back to defend his title, having added the International Series Singapore trophy to his collection since his victory here last year. Delhi Golf Club has hosted the Indian Open many times. In fact, it was the inaugural host of the National Championship back in 1964, which was an event that was pushed hard for by our own Peter Thompson.
Yeah.
We've covered this in the Playing from the Tips previously.
Yeah.
DLF Open.
Yeah, and he won the title that year.
Indeed.
And Tomo returned back in the 70s to redesign the course, and it was again upgraded by Gary Player Design in 2019 when all 18 greens were redone and the fairway bunkering redesigned.
Thick rough, like wild,
Yeah.
dark jungle.
Yeah. Like you hit one on
You
the
don't
track,
want to go
you
there.
Don't look for it.
You don't want to go there. You'll find a Bengal tiger in there somewhere.
Pretty sure it's quite a fenced-in golf club, but yeah, sure.
You could sneak him through one of those Mongol, because they've got some of the old ruins there.
They've got ruins.
Yeah. They'd sneak in through there. There's a couple of Aussies in the field this week. Our Olympic pairing of Marcus Fraser and Scott Hend are playing this week. Kevin Yuan, Terry Pilkadaris, Jack Thompson, and Doug Klein in the field. Players to watch. I always like the Thai dynamic duo of Sadomat Kaiwanjara and Bachara Kongwatmai.
Well said.
That's a bit of showing off, but yep.
They're always great to watch. And Delhi is a Thai golf course in parts. We've talked about the rough. I think that'll appeal to these two who can hit the ball like it's on a string. If they're in form. Needless to say that I think if they're not 1-2, they're not far away.
Good. I'm assuming one of those players might be your tip.
Pachara
Pachara
is for me. Although we were talking before about infrequent winners.
Yes.
He's been around, even though he's still young, he's been around for a while, obviously making his professional debut at 15.
Yep.
He's only won once on the Asian Tour.
I remember when he went head-to-head with Brett Rumford in Perth maybe one year as about a 17-year-old. Glove on when putting all the works, and you thought this guy's going to win everything. And just, no.
He's had 22 top 10 finishes on the Asian Tour.
Wow.
Won once.
Wow.
So he knows how to get to the party, and hopefully this week he goes home with the girl.
Outstanding. I'm just a bit disappointed when I hear of a Thai duo at an Asian Tour event. I always think of Kiradek Afford Barnrat and Prom Mesawat. That's how my head
That's
works.
not a duo, mate.
The Barnrat and the Big Dolphin. Two of the best nicknames.
That's
of
a
all
front
time.
row.
That's I actually dined in the same restaurant as them at a tournament once.
Tell us the prawn story.
It was outstanding. We'll keep that for another day. Logue, who do you like here?
I'm in keeping with the theme this week of tournaments with acronyms as the names: SDC Champion, DGC Open, New South Wales Open, NSW Open. I'm going with SSP Chaurasia.
Oh, yes. Rod's man.
He's my man too.
I think he's everyone's man. Everyone loves SSP.
The DLF. Yeah, Open. I backed him there as well. He let me down, but this is his week. SSP. He's going to get it done.
Okay. With me, keep an eye on James Liao from Singapore this week. He's really impressed in an extended run in amateur golf, but probably a bit of a step up to try and get a win. But let's keep the Aussie run going in Asia, and I'm going to take Scott Hend. Is getting very close towards senior golf, but one of his great mates in Wade Ormsby wins last week. That'll have him all fired up. He's back loving life in Asia. This is the sort of week where Hendy just randomly shows up and wins again, and you go, okay, yeah, sure. That's an amazing career you've had there, Scott. So Scott Hend for me. Finally, a brief look at the Aramco Team Series on the Ladies European Tour. That is in Singapore this week. Laguna National is the host, just a couple of weeks after it had the DP World Tour there. Ridiculously hard golf course, pretty much, particularly for the one amateur in each team that's teamed up with three pros that in an event that takes place alongside the individual event. Aussie Whitney Hillier was actually the winning team last year, and Manon Deroe took the individual honours. Headline in the field this week, you've got Lydia Ko and Danielle Kang, while you've rising youngster Kiara Noja is always worth watching with one of the best golf swings you've got going around, and fresh off, I think, a third in South Africa last week where Ashley Buhai won. Congratulations to Ashley, Australian Open champion. So we're going to claim her all year. For me, simply can't go past Lydia Ko this week. Been in great form since she came back from her honeymoon. Sort of player as well that when she receives appearance money, and I would dare say that the Aramco series might be paying her a little bit of money to show up this week. It's just a feeling I've got. She shows up to play when she gets that money. She's got that sort of Tiger thing where I'm getting money. She's there to
on a show.
She's there to put on a show. She's not just there to collect her check. So Lydia for me, and by a heap. BJ, thoughts?
Well, I think Lydia Ko's the obvious choice, but I think Laguna National might better suit the stylings of Sweden's Lynn Grant.
That's fair.
It's in terrible form, though. Are you aware of that?
Oh, yeah, I'm aware of that.
Okay, all right.
But form is only fleeting.
Okay.
Whether it be bad or good. She might be thereabouts sort of heading to the weekend and then turn it on once she's realised that she's able to handle that golf course.
Fair enough.
Yep, I like that. Logue?
I like Meg McLaren's chances this week. I think the little bit of a wacky format that they've got suits Meg. She's one of those players that adjusts to unusual formats quicker than everybody else, I reckon. And this is a little opportunity for her. Meg McLaren.
Meg McLaren. And I should mention there is a couple of Aussies there, being Whitney Hillier and Kirsten Rudgley, who gets a start, despite it being something of a limited field. You can never quite work out what's exactly happening with the LET field sometimes. So, yes, I think that's it. All right, that's it for a busy week ahead in golf around the world. Always keep up to date with all the action on our website, golfaustralia.com.au. There you'll find your weekly golf TV guide telling you where you can watch all of the above, including the Metaverse, as Logue mentioned, which is making a debut as a viewing platform for professional golf, where it will be screening the Play Today New South Wales Open, and you can do a whole lot of other things in there that you'll see once you get in there. It's a bit confusing for me because that's not really me, but it is actually quite easy to understand once you get in there, so check that out. On our website, you can also go in the draw to win $5,000 worth of Titleist gear by entering your vote for Australia's greatest golf holes. So basically, we're going to produce 1 to 18, the best golf course in Australia, of a composite of every golf course. And finally, the April issue of Golf Australia magazine goes on sale this week. Adam Scott graces the cover of our Masters preview, where we take a look back at his win 10 years on with all sorts of people from in and around golf, giving their remembrances, and answer all your Augusta questions in the lead up to this year's tournament. We also test the latest drivers on the market and give an inside look at what to expect for LIV Golf Adelaide from someone who's been on the ground a couple of LIV events. That's it for Playing for the Tips for another week. Good luck to your favourite players, and we will be in your ears again next week.